I want you to pay close attention to the video on screen at the moment. Examine it carefully. At first glance, you might think that this is some real life footage recorded on a phone by a bystander at a train station. But the truth is that this is all rendered in Unreal Engine 5, computer graphics created by the user Subject N on YouTube. They state in the comments below the video that this was created in about a month's time. For that level of fidelity, that is an incredible feat, and there's a lot of original assets in here too. According to the artist, this demo can be ran in its daytime mode in real time with 30 to 50 FPS in 1440p resolution. It doesn't look quite as good, but this is a glimpse into what true next-gen video games will look like. And now that the Series X and PlayStation 5 are becoming more readily available, I think the next few years are going to look incredible. And what about this? Is this a new Halo game? No, but I recorded this earlier today. It's a fan-made Halo experience called Zeta Halo, created by Infinite Forges, a level artist at Gearbox Entertainment. And it's all running in real time here on Unreal Engine 5, and I recorded this on my own PC. The lighting quality and fidelity of the environment is breathtaking, and you can try this for yourself now if you want to. Just pray that your PC doesn't take off. So today we're going to take a deep dive into Unreal Engine 5 and why I'm so excited about it in terms of new games that we'll be releasing soon. Sometimes though, you've got to look at where you've been to see where you're going. It's time for a bit of history. I've no doubt that many of you will be familiar with a game called Unreal Tournament. It was one of the best arena shooters of its day, and I spent way too much time playing on facing worlds against bots and sniping them in the head. But it's the original game that was just titled Unreal that released the year before in 1998 that I want to look back on here. Not for the game itself, although it was popular, but because of the engine that powered it, also called Unreal. And it was the first game released to be powered by that engine. If I had to think back to a moment that I personally really sat up and paid attention to video game engines and the Unreal Engine in particular, for me it was likely with the release of Gears of War on the Xbox 360 way back in 2006. Now Gears set the bar of high quality visuals, and that was all down to the most up-to-date version of the Unreal Engine at the time. From that point on though, the Unreal Engine would become one of the most popular ones used by not only AAA studios but also indie developers too. Graphically, it was capable of producing stunning visuals, but it was the package as a whole that was appealing. A suite of tools available to developers made the game production process much more streamlined, and its current licensing model means that you won't pay a single penny for usage of the engine until your game earns at least $1 million. Now recently, the latest iteration of the engine, Unreal Engine 5, has been released to the general public, and I thought that we would take a look at why the engine is so impressive. And it was almost 2 years ago that we got the first look of the new engine with a real-time demo running on PlayStation 5. It showcased a few new features for Unreal. Lumen, which was a completely dynamic lighting system, and then their Chaos Physics engine. But what blew me away was something called Nanite, and it's essentially a system that allows millions of polygons to be rendered in real time. They showed this off in impressive fashion while also being rendered in real time on a next-gen console. One of the most recent showcases though was an actual playable demo that you can download on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series SX, and now in a way on PC. It was called The Matrix Awakens, and as you can imagine, the demo was centered around the Matrix. Just like every Unreal showcase, it looks incredible. It takes place in a large open world city, but there's a brief story-esque element with some quick time events and an epic car chase. The point of the demo though, other than to promote the new Matrix movie, was to showcase all of the tech that Unreal Engine 5 was capable of. All of those elements that we mentioned coming together were present, with even more features that we'll get into in a little bit. It was an exciting example of what was capable for next-gen games in the engine itself in real time, and like I mentioned, it was running on the new next-gen consoles. With the release of Unreal Engine 5 though, you can download the open world city itself and play around with it in the Unreal editor on PC. And what's awesome about this is the fact that you can mod it and add things to it. So already people are starting to create things with the Matrix Awakens demo. For example, this Not Superman game created by Tyson Butler. We haven't had a decent Superman game in years, to be honest. Maybe this is enough inspiration for someone at DC to take a look and go, actually, yeah, we should do this. Now, one of the more recent showcases for Unreal Engine 5 was called The Cavern, and this was made by the Coalition, who are also responsible for Gears of War, and this does a great job of showing how incredible characters can look in Unreal Engine 5. It's a level of detail that we just haven't seen before in a video game. It's far more movie quality. They do make us fully aware though that it doesn't represent a game product, but I imagine that that's been put there to at least temper expectations about a new Gears of War game. Maybe it's a legal thing, but come on, this looks like a new Gears of War game. I'm here for it. So the latest version of Unreal sets the bar for game engines as far as I'm concerned, and there are plenty of AAA studios who already have announced Unreal Engine 5 games in development, ranging from official Xbox studios. CD Projekt Red have said that the next Witcher game is on that, Gearbox, 2K, Hellblade 2, Stalker 2, the new Tomb Raider, even Dr. Disrespect's new game studio Midnight Society have said that they're using Unreal Engine for their game 12 AM. And with the tools available and what we've been shown so far, I'm very excited to see what all these studios are able to produce, because this engine appears to truly be next gen, and I'm hoping that these games look and play fantastic and allow the scope of the developers to massively scale. Only time will tell, but I do think that the future's bright. Additionally to that, what's really interesting to me about the engine is that it's not just about video games, it's evolved way past that. You may have heard of a little TV show called The Mandalorian, produced by a small company called Disney. Well, what you may not know is that the Unreal Engine was actually used to power the backdrop of a lot of the scenes in the show. CGI is used extensively in television and film these days, and as The Mandalorian is a sci-fi show, you can imagine that a lot of these scenes would need to be created with a virtual environment. And this is often achieved by placing the actors in front of a green screen, keying that out, and then replacing whatever's in the background with a digital element in post-production. Obviously, I'm no film producer, but this does have some big issues that the film industry has been dealing with in one way or another for a long time. Lighting is one of those issues, and then you've got the problem of dealing with all that green that will naturally be reflected in the scene, and you might see some of it on the edges of stuff if it's not keyed out correctly. Usually that's just the job of the post-production team to deal with, and it can give them a headache. But this is where Unreal Engine comes in and kind of saves the day. Instead of a green screen, The Mandalorian used huge LED screens or walls, and those walls produced a dynamic image that would serve as the backdrop for the scene being recorded, and there can even be screens above the actors to simulate the sky and the lighting coming from it. What's more impressive though is that the background can be changed in real time alongside the camera movements to simulate what the cameras would be seeing if the background were real. One of the biggest advantages of all this is that the screens can also provide lighting that matches the source, and to achieve all of this they had to tweak the camera sensors and LED sizes on the screens to avoid that common issue that you get when you try to record a screen. But arguably the most impressive part of all of this process though is the fact that because the visuals on the screen are being powered by Unreal Engine in real time, they can dynamically change the scene, including lighting, or if they want, they can completely remove geometry, elements, props, or add more in. You don't like that rock there? Delete it, change it, move it. This means that the director could actually make changes on the fly depending on their needs. And it also gives the actors an air of believability, because rather than just being in a warehouse with a green screen behind them, they can see where they're supposed to be. If you've got Disney Plus, I highly recommend watching the making of The Mandalorian, because it's super interesting and very enlightening into this process. If that wasn't exciting enough for you though, and sticking with the Star Wars theme by chance, Unreal Engine is also responsible for the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run ride at Disney World and Disneyland, part of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and this is an interactive ride taking place in the cockpit of the Falcon, and the visuals are powered by Unreal Engine. It's essentially a giant simulator, but you get to control, to a certain degree, where the Falcon goes, up, down, the engineers, what you're shooting at, what needs to be fixed, even jumping to light speed, and it all plays out in real time. It's awesome to see something that started off as a video game and a video game engine powering a Star Wars theme park ride at Disney. Now what's cool about all this is that the Unreal Engine editor is actually pretty straightforward to use. If I can do it, you can, and it allows you to view and change your level while hitting play and testing it at any point in real time. Placing assets is simple enough in its basic form, but don't be fooled into thinking that it's all that easy, because it isn't. It takes a bit of learning. Making a level may be achievable by most, but games do require logic, and usually logic means coding. That's still the case with Unreal, but they also have an extremely powerful tool in the form of blueprints. If you're a game programmer and you know programming, in this case C++, then you can create your entire game logic using programming. If, however, you don't have that knowledge, you can utilize something called blueprints, and this is a node-based system that allows you to achieve similar things to coding but using visual blocks and strings. It's entirely possible to make a full game, depending on the scale and size, using these blueprints alone. But the bigger games on the market likely use a mixture of coding for the complex elements and stuff that they create from scratch, but they will also use blueprints for simplicity where it's possible. It's an extremely powerful system that still requires a lot of learning with the general flow of it, and it's definitely easier if you've got a programming background, but even a novice could pick this up. Another huge benefit to Unreal happens to be documentation, because it's been around for so long and so many studios now use it. If you encounter a problem, it's likely that someone has already encountered it and fixed it, provided a solution, or you've got so many tutorials out there, as I mentioned. The beauty of all this is that anyone can download Unreal Engine 5 and make something with it right now. You, me, your nan, anyone. It's not just that, but the Unreal Editor gives you a head start. There are lots of templates for first-person shooters, racing, top-down, third-person, and even virtual reality. On top of that, plenty of test levels that you can look at and learn from. There's a ton of tutorials too, and alongside that, the Unreal ecosystem features a marketplace full of content. This content can range drastically though. Some of it is free. In fact, there's a lot of great content that you can download for free, and other content will cost you money. There are full assets that you can simply then drag and drop into your scene, such as buildings of props, as well as whole animation systems, and in some case, full game templates. There's an abundance of content available for people starting out, or even a AAA studio needing to get their hands on something specific. It's also a great way to make and sell your own content if you're an artist. The marketplace isn't your only source of project material though, as the Unreal Editor has integration with Quixel Megascans. Now, Quixel provide the best quality assets that you can imagine. There are hundreds of assets on Quixel, ranging from rocks, walls, and vegetation that you can use to make a countryside scene, all the way to food such as bread and everything in between. And these assets are Megascans, up to often 8K in quality. Quixel also provides meta-humans, which I admit sounds a bit odd, but the Unreal Engine has a creative tool that allows you to make digital humans for use in your game. And this tool gives you full control over how a character can look, and also allows you to import them into the editor. And Quixel provides quite a few pre-made versions for you to use. And to put the quality of Quixel into context, games such as Cyberpunk, Battlefield 5, Metro Exodus, and The Division 2 have used Quixel to some extent. And when it comes to TV and film, The Mandalorian, The Lion King, Jumanji, some examples, all massive productions. Wrapping things up, we haven't even really touched on this yet, but the Unreal Engine is also used in other capacities, architecture being one of them, and the other being education. What seems to be important to Epic is inspiring up and coming developers, supporting creators, and one way that they can achieve that is with mega grants. Epic Games has committed to giving financial grants that can range from $5,000 up to $500,000, and these are for creative projects using the Unreal Engine. This could be in any form. As I mentioned, architecture, education, but also stuff like film production, and of course game development. There's a member on my Discord who works at a studio that managed to get an Epic grant, and they're building a game now. What's more is that no matter the size of the grant, you'll still own your IP and be free to publish it however you want. And I mentioned it earlier too, but it's worth mentioning again. With the first version of the Unreal Engine, there was of course a licensing fee, but over time that system has changed, and as of today, you can use the engine to make a game and not pay a single penny to Epic until you've earned 1 million. You may never achieve that figure, maybe you will, but if you don't, it means that you've got the ability to use a AAA engine for free. And hopefully that enables many budding game designers and smaller studios to step up and make something cool, maybe start their own careers in the industry. And that's all for today. I for one can't wait to see what real next gen titles will look and play like. I feel like next month in June we'll get to see a lot more of them announced, and some gameplay trailers too, fingers crossed. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment below and a like on it to help support me and bump it in the algorithm. Thank you. And I'm going to leave you with this to spark your imagination a little bit more. A Spider-Man demo I've been playing a few moments ago, created by Mentariel in the Unreal Engine 5 Matrix sample, complete with web slinging, wall climbing and more. That's today. What's tomorrow? Well, we'll just have to wait and see.